Hi there, I'm John and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, I'm John and welcome to my YouTube channel. Here I mainly review books. Book reviews are my things. I love talking about books. I love talking about what I read. But most of all, like writing on what I read. So I currently write for Life on Books, the website. So if you would like to check out like my reviews posted on there, I will try to leave a link below, even though YouTube is refusing to allow me access this feature. But yeah, I do like the lengthy traditional style book reviews. I love putting my time into there. And if you have ideas of where I could possibly like submit to US magazines who accept reviews, I would really appreciate those as well. But yeah, this video is a summer reading recommendation and a mini book haul as well, which will come at the end. But yeah, I have not read so much books in my lifetime, and I've only recently, like 2 years ago, started reading like more diversely and more things that are not considered like mass market, John Grisham, Daniel Steele type books. So, but with the little I have read, I have at least 6 books here that I think are perfect summaries, or that will be perfect summaries, and I would like you to check them out if you are looking for some of those summary type book vibes. And yeah, and this will not be a long video, but let's get into it. The first book here is an overly recommended one, but I'm sorry, I just have to include it because it's one I've read and it's one I really love a lot. I used to own a physical copy, but not anymore. But it's Call Me By Your Name by Andre Asiman. I read this in 2021, the year where I had 3 5-star rates. It has not happened again. It has not happened ever, and it has not happened since then. But yeah, that was one of my 5-star reads of that year, and the prose was magnificent. The descriptions of Italy, it just felt very summary, very warm, like the general vibes. Like I read it a lot during like afternoons, just laying in bed. I think I read it in June into July, laying in bed, just resting, and yeah, the vibes were immaculate. And I think this is like a perfect like beach type read. Just sit at the beach and read this. It's kind of a tragic love story between Elio and the American Oliver, who comes to stay over at his parents' villa for the summer, I think. It's been a while. It's set in Italy. The city is so very present in the story. Yeah, it's a book about a relationship between a much younger and much older man, which kind of but I don't really think it was like that serious because Elio was 17, which is still underage, and Oliver was 24. But I do think the writing in this book, there are just so many sharp, astonishing prose moments that are some of the best I've read in any book ever. So I recommend, highly recommend. The rumors are true. And just little asides, I kind of tried watching the film for the first time in 2021, maybe that same year, after finishing the book like a few weeks later, and I hated it initially. I hated the film because I just felt it was not doing a service to a book which had affected me and touched me so much, and I was pissed. But I rewatched it in 2022 and I repented and found that I was young and silly, so I recommend it alongside the book for when you finish. I'm always a read book first, watch film later guy. Please don't do the reverse. Don't be like me. So the next recommendation is one I actually read in December, and it's this cookie crazy book I mentioned, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas by Hunter S. Thompson, A Savage Journey to the Heart of the American Dream, which is set in sweltering LA heat and Las Vegas heat as the book progresses. But yes, this is like really just 100, 200 pages of a man high on drugs, on every kind of drugs throughout, and just a shitty lawyer who is accompanying him as he goes to write as he gets a gig to write like a paper, an article on a race that's happening in Las Vegas. And I just think like if you are thinking of summer heat, this book gives a lot of that vibes, because there's just like a lot of road trips and like just so many weird things happening in this novel. And I did not it's not even like you have to get all of it, because it's not like it goes over your head. It's just like they are just so outrageous and very much sponsored by the drugs a lot of the time, which I do not condone. I just found it like so wild. And yeah, it's my copy has like some of these weird drawings that just pop out of nowhere, like just so many weird drawings that I did not really get the like choices. I did not really get this edition and like the choice of the drawings, because they were so odd. But I would not be shocked if this was some of what the characters were seeing, or the main character was seeing in his mind, because he was so wacky. But a quote I always like pulling from this book, there are just so many funny quotes, and like one of my favorites, "My blood is too thick for California. I have never been able to properly explain myself in this climate." And it's just yesterday a friend on IG in the US told me of how California is one of like the hottest states there in like summertime, how there's literally a place called Death Valley there. But I'm just going to read, like, that's one of my favorite. I'm going to read another one of these quote. Yeah, the quote that I feel perfectly describes the entirety of the novel is that there was madness in any direction at any hour. There was madness in all 200 and something pages of this book. Like, I don't think there was any sense of normalcy in this book. It's really a book that looks at what like the drug craze of like the 70s, late 70s, were like late 60s into early 70s, sorry, were like in the time in the US, and using like this journalist in Las Vegas who goes to Las Vegas from LA as an example, just a small example to show like what the general time was like. But my favorite, I know I said the other two were my favorites, but my most favorite quotes, "That's good," I said. "You can't be subtle in this town." It's not even like something I love so much. It's just such a crazy book, and I've been finding I want to stop highlighting a lot of my books like too much, because sometimes I do not now end up highlighting like so much when the book progresses. But this is one I'm so glad I like. It's so very few tabs, but I'm glad I marked this one. I think I'm staying too long on this. But my next recommendation is a classic, sort of an American classic, and it's The Old Man and the Sea. And I mean, the cover is first epitome of like beach waves, summer type vibes. I was looking for the recs for this video from what I have read, and I did not know that. I just quickly remembered I had read this twice even. And yeah, I read this first in 2020, but I read it with one of my dearest friends, and we read it last year. I think, I don't know. We read it when I finally was able to see a copy here. And this is one of like the shortest, most affecting books I've ever read. There's so much sadness, so much heaviness, so much like love in these pages between the old man and the boy who who is like his fishing partner at points during the novel. Like, the writing is so simple. It almost felt like those, like some of like the children, like some of like the books we read, let's say when I was in primary school, secondary school, maybe, just like felt very simple in the writing style. But there's just so much like beauty and heaviness in it. I do see why some people do like dislike it, because there's a very long segment in this that I do not feel is unnecessary, but I feel it's very slow and you need patience to be able to go through it. But I see why it's in the book and very necessary as an overarching part of like what makes the story hit so much at the end, because it's a book about resilience, courage, even at such an old age. And yeah, it's something I can see myself rereading again in the future. But one of my favorites, perhaps my favorite quote is, "Let him think I am more man than I am, and I will be so." I love this book. I love this book. I do not realize it every time, but when I see it and think of like books that have touched my heart, this is one of them. Next recommendation is The Lost Daughter by Elena Ferrante, which appeared in my best books of 2023 video, so you can check that out as well. It is a book which is set in it's not coming to me. I cannot kill myself, I'm sorry, but it's set in a city where it's set in the summer. I know the main character Leda decides to go for a vacation. She's kind of like a translator at a school, works as a translator. I don't know if a professor as well, but she mainly does like translation. And she decides to go for a little vacation to a town where she eventually gets to, I think it's Greece. Yes, it might be set in Greece, a city in Greece. But she goes there and she gets to encounter this family which kind of like upgrades her time there. But the focus is really a young mother and her daughter, and it kind of like sends her thinking and reminiscing on her time as a young mother as well, with two girls. And it's really a look about motherhood and the difficulties of motherhood. And I think the central point of the novel really is a portion in the book where Leda is talking to a character about how she left her daughters for 3 years and did not see them, left her with the father, and she just like went away. And the woman asks her, how do you leave your children and run away? And she says, sometimes you have to run in order not to die. And I think like that quote has been with me for a long time. I really think it encapsulates like the whole of the novel. Yeah, it's just like feels very vacation-y, and Ferrante's writing is very like soft and subtle, so I do think it kind of fits the vibe. And it's a very, very short novel, like a little over 150 pages, I think. My next recommendation is actually a poetry collection that I did not love, but I think the cover gives these vibes, and I love the author, and it's Violent Bend Backwards Over the Grass by artist Lana Del Rey. This is her poetry collection. I cannot really remember what the poems were about in general, but I just think this cover would look good if you're out in summertime, beach, park, whatever it is. I just think this cover is very summary, the cover of this book. I will leave it up here so long, but yes, I enjoyed it for what it was, and it does hold a lot of like the things that we know, that if you are a fan of her, like you know, like true testaments to her to her prowess as a writer, not just a songwriter. You kind of see them here, and you see why I kind of saw why I loved her as a writer overall. And it's really for fans of her, because I don't think it's like mind-blowing poetry all the time or something like that, but if you're a true fan of her, you kind of like to read this. My final recommendation is an essay collection I also did not love, but I think it would feel like a bit of a nice like dual, like side by side read, maybe with a fiction novel in like summertime, just having an essay on rotation. And it's Teaching a Stone to Talk by Annie Dillard, an American essay writer, memoirist. And yeah, a recommendation I got from Alex from What Page Are You On? And while this was not his favorite of hers, and I wanted to read the actual favorite, which was Pilgrim at Tinker Creek, I chose this one because it has one of like the most fantastic book titles I have ever come across. Anytime I think of it, Teaching a Stone to Talk, it floors me. And I say I did not overly like it, but I did not dislike this at all. I think Annie Dillard was last year one of like the most fantastic writers I read. I describe her as an author who knows that she can write. She has the knowledge of her gift and how great the gift is. I don't know how to describe that. I know that, but it just comes across as that because it's just so self-assured, confident in the writing. And my primary issue was with the collection was that there were just a bit too many moments that felt like so many digressions from maybe the beginning of an essay. You get so lost into something else before you go to the end, and I did not feel we were even being carried along very properly. But I do think there are very some stunning essay. It's really a book that really looks at nature very heavy on the nature writing and the analysis of nature and our connection to it as human beings. And there's a also the look at like the existence of God and God as creator and like just the higher power. She talks about God a lot in this novel, which I kind of liked because I'm Christian, so it was like I like to see it. And she kind of has this complex relationship with God that I did not get to like really decipher whether she was for or against or in between throughout the book. So that's why I kind of want to read more of her works. But I think if you are looking for stunning writing and beautiful passages on nature and just like the beauty of the world in general while sitting in an umbrella at the beach, this is the book for you. Yeah, so yeah, that's like the summer recommendation. I hope I did a bit of a great job. I'll just show my very small mini haul. It was acquired over a few months, actually 10 weeks. Maybe whenever I had little money, I paid for what I could afford online with a vendor who has like maybe some of the better books. The first two books I got were for my sister, who I'm trying to get into reading with children's books, and it was Roald Dahl's Matilda and The Secret Seven by Enid Blyton. So yeah, I got these two for her because this one I've heard it's a very great children's novel, and she had seen the musical, so I just thought it was very cheap, 1,000 naira. I just thought to get it for her, so I take it when I'm going home. But it's also something I might consider reading because it's very famous and it's short, relatively short. It has pictures in it, so I don't think it will like be so taxing to get through as well. So I might read this because I've seen adults who shout out the praises of this book a lot as well. And I got this because I also in the past have bought Enid Blyton's famous five for her to read. I bought the first two books in the series, but since they did not have like them in sequence, I just decided to get another one for her. And I get books like this for her, so when I do have little money from time to time, I just buy one or two. And yeah, hoping she likes them. Next book I got was a chunker, and it's Wolf Hall by Hilary Mantel. And I got this majorly because of my friend and sister Alana Estelle, who also has a channel on here, and this is a book she has talked about a lot and that she really likes. And I saw it and I do not really know what it's about. I know it's kind of historical, but why I do not know that, I know I trust her recommendations most times, and I like big books. I don't know if I've said that on this channel, but I read some small books from time to time like you guys would think, but I actually prefer big immersive works of fiction that can just swallow me whole. And I'm so glad I'm in a time now, just fresh out of school, that I can read some of like these big works I own. One of my favorite books is 1,350 something pages, a Stephen King work, and I'm so glad he has some chunkers because I want to sink and soak in them. But yeah, Wolf Hall, I don't know what it's about, but yeah, just like that, it's thick. And I know it's a series, but I just decided to get one first. And I think the third one, I don't know if I'll see it here in Nigeria for a while, except it will be outrageously expensive. So I will probably get the second one from that same vendor if she has it, if I like this one. So yeah, third book I got was a Philip Roth novel, who I do not really know much about, but I know it's kind of a praised American author, and I got The Ghostwriter by him majorly because of this cover. I would say it just felt so attractive in a way, just like calling my name, and since I knew it was kind of like famous American, I wanted to just have one of his works because I could not get my hands on the more popular ones. And I really just like how flabby it is. It's just there's a lot of times I just come to touch this book and just shake it and just flip through it. I do not read it, but I just like how flabby it is, and just the whole structure. Like, this is what this I don't know what to say. It's not even that deep, but I just love the way it feels a lot of the time. Like, one of my favorite things about books, just how they can turned me into something else, and I cannot explain why. But yeah, the ghostwriter, I do not know what this is about as well, but I have a sense I would like it. Maybe we'll see. Second to the last, I got We Need to Talk About Kevin by Lionel Shriver. Okay, We Need to Talk About Kevin by Lionel Shriver. I think I've been using the vendor for a few years now. I buy it from her at least once every year. So I just order for a stretch, then get them to me when I am able to get the shipping across to her. So yeah, I've been seeing this on her page for a while, a lot of time, and what really attracted me was the name. It was later I found that it was a bit popular and had a popular film as well. And yeah, I don't know, I like mysteries, I like thriller a lot. It was what got me into like reading. When I started reading the silly romances, the first book that really blew me away was kind of like a thriller mystery novel, and so I still come back and deep into this genre from time to time when I want to remember why, like what got me into reading, and I still very much enjoy them if they are done right till date. Like Gillian Flynn, the author of Sharp Objects and Gone Girl, I've mentioned on here, one of the best, perhaps the best author in this genre. But yeah, I was attracted to the name because it's just so fascinating. We Need to Talk About Kevin. I like book titles that are very like attractive, and yeah, so that's why I got this, and it's quite a chunker as well. It's not. I don't know if this is the chunker I usually want, because I do not really like mystery books being excessively long. Although all I have read have been long in a way, in some sort of way. But yeah, I want to read this. And the final book is a book I had been dying to own for a lot of years, but I never saw, and I just wanted it because I thought I would like the author so much, and I had heard praises for the novel, but something just told me I would like this book and this author, and it's Atonement by Ian McEwan. And when I saw this at the price I saw it for, was probably equivalent to $1 in a way when I bought it. I was floored. I was quick. I did not have much, but I paid because I have been looking for this for such a long time, and I'm so glad to have it here because I kind of want to watch the film too, but I know I have to read this book first. Like, it's there's no way around it. There's no way around it. And yeah, I don't know that I love this cover, but who cares? I do not care. I'm not really too picky on covers, like, because I do not usually own things that are so ugly. So, but I do not know that I actually like the girl sitting on the steps. I would have liked if the steps were just the steps, but I'll take what I get. I have an Ian McEwan novel here, and yeah, I just have a sense I will love this author and this book, and cannot wait to read it eventually. I don't know if it will be this year. I doubt it will be this year actually. I don't want to lie, but if you have read, yeah, if you have read this, please let me know if you are on the camp with people that talk about how great it is. But yeah, that was the summer reading recommendations plus the mini book haul, and I hope you enjoyed the time spent with me. And yeah, if you have any summer book recs, please, very open to reading it, because I'm kind of like compiling a TBR and I've been reading a bit more. Also, I'm currently reading Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin, my first Baldwin. So yeah, what are you reading? How's your days been? Plans for the summer? Whatever you feel like sharing, I would very much like them in the comments, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.